We are live. Welcome to my thoughts on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 7, Episode 7, The Totally Excellent Adventures of Mack and the D. This episode is rated TV-14, so will this video be? Spoilers for everything MCU and adjacent leading up to and including this episode, not for anything that came out after this episode first premiered. I don't know if this is necessarily the best episode the show made, but it's up there, and it's, I think, my personal favorite. I guess I'll get the one thing out of the way. I was a little surprised that the framing device didn't come up more. Like, at the very start, there's like, okay, tell me what happened, and then, partway through the episode, a cover band, really? And then nothing for the entire rest of the episode. I don't know, that felt... I mean, I don't know where it would really have fit. I guess I'm just saying, did it need to be there at all? I don't know. Maybe it's a reference to an 80s movie that I didn't catch or something. It was fun. Certainly it seemed to me like it might be a reference to that deleted intro to the Avengers where, Kobe Smulders is giving a report and she's like, Fury, that team, is so unpredictable. It was a decent enough idea. I don't think I would have hated if that had been the actual opening to the film. And you see little traces of, because, there's the thing about, really, Phase 2 is our priority right now. These, little things that, other than that, I absolutely love this episode. This is so, You might already know about me. There's some parts of the 80s, even though I barely remember them. I did, I was a small child by the time the 80s ended, but there's a lot of 80s culture, maybe especially from America, that I really love. I mean, I just did a review of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 1989 arcade game and talked about my love of both that game and the show that it was, licensed from. Then you have my love of the slasher subgenre, though I am critical of it, as I want to do. Day of the Dead, some of my favorite, I think I could go on forever. I thought this episode did a wonderful job of homaging the 1980s. The band plays at Swayze's bar, and Mack pretty quickly learns nobody puts the D in the corner. And R.I.P. He really was just an absolutely amazing Patrick Swayze, for those who might not. I might actually do a video on Ghost at some point. It's, I haven't watched all his work, but I've really enjoyed what I did see. Anyway, I guess other than that, I think that is pretty... right, the A-Team. I haven't watched that show in like 20 years. A lot of these I haven't watched in 20 years or more, but that was so good. They play the theme, and they've got the font and the whole thing, the introduction with, this person does this person does that. And the Masters of Disguise, so, Face Man, and I guess I'm not sure who would be the Murdoch. I guess maybe the Russian woman is what comes the closest, and she's not quite that far. I mean, I can imagine that, by, this episode aired in 2020, they didn't want to have, like, a character where people are like, that's offensive to people with mental health conditions, so that might be why they toned that down so significantly. Who's the muscle? Like, who's the, B.A. Baracus? I'm not entirely... Maybe they don't really have one of those for the yeah, but you know, it was that was a great. Yeah, I think other than that, all of them were sci-fi. So yeah, I mean, if you're gonna do 80s sci-fi, you know, homage, yeah, you gotta have some killer robots like Terminator, some lasers. Crap. I think IMDb trivia noted what the laser was a reference to. But yeah, obviously we have the, you know, with the exterminate the Daleks from Doctor Who. Uh, Property that I have not watched. I've only seen analyses, and no, I'm probably not going to start watching Doctor Who. Uh, yeah, it's a bit. There's so much of it that I'm not really looking to get into a property I'm not already planning on. Anyway, yeah, the you know, right now, yeah, finishing up the MCU and adjacent stuff, and other Marvel shows on Disney Plus that are recent. I'm doing Walking Dead. I'm gonna do the Arrowverse. There's some stuff on Disney Plus that I probably am eventually gonna get into, but right now, neck deep in these. Feet first. I'm not drowning. I am just stuck. Uh, but yeah. Other than that, yeah, you gotta have the thing with the war games thing, and wow, does that cover? I feel like there's something I'm missing for the 80s sci-fi homage. Maybe not. But yeah, also great stuff with the, you know, yeah, at one point they're like, you know, what are we going to do? And Mack's like, we're going to need a montage. And yeah, like, it's right out of, you know, the IMDb trivia notes. Let's see, I think it was Rambo, First Blood Part 2 and Commando. And that was also, you know, somehow, somewhere, someone's going to pay the, you know, the tagline. And also some of the lyrics for the song that plays at the end of Commando, you know, which, I mean, they stop just short. The someone's gonna pay, they don't say, but they do sing somewhere, somehow, someone, and then it's like we fight for love or something like that. Which, yeah, that is more commercial than, you know, making a song that's about Arnold Schwarzenegger, you know, going around bodying people. Yeah, I think that might cover the homages. Uh, Other than, of course, that, yeah, now I know where yeah. If you're gonna do an homage to 80s, you know, this kind of, that's that other French word that perfectly describes it. What is it again? It's a, crap. It's not a crap. It's maybe it'll come to me by the end of the video. But yeah. The kind of thing that, you know, Shaun of the Dead does for zombie movies and Hot Fuzz does for action movies and crime, you know, murder mysteries and that sort of thing. You know, it's not really parody, and it's not just homage. They take elements and they mix it together. There's a French word for it. Anyway, yeah, the French and the Germans are really good at making words to, you know, if you know enough of their words, you can talk about pretty much anything in great detail. But yeah, if you're gonna do an homage to 80s sci-fi, yeah, you do gotta have some Back to the Future in there. And I forget, 1985, is that when, did one of the movies come out in 1985? I forget. But yeah, because the song he steals is from 1980. Well, the one we hear him perform. He apparently stole others, but yeah. And yeah, he changed a little bit of the lyrics. I'm not sure the name Daisy was always in there, but yeah, IMDb trivia certainly notes that some of the lyrics were changed. And then they're like, okay, sing along, and they're like, watermelon, watermelon. And yeah, he time traveled and stole a song to be, yeah. And at least this time it's not a white guy taking credit for a black person song. Although, let's see, it's like does he count as an American? I mean, his grandparents were not American. Crap. Yeah, because apparently that song was not American original. Yeah, moving on. Yeah, I did not expect, based on the title, for this episode to be so soulful and genuinely like emotionally engaging. I thought, because the title, for those who might not know, obviously, Bill and Ted reference. Yeah, I really was not expecting the whole Mack storyline, and they handled it beautifully. Like, it really worked, and that's the thing. Like, for one thing, there are 80s movies that actually do that start out like these, kind of brooding, dark, emotional kind of things, and then end up with kind of silly stuff. And it is also, not, like I said, not every 80s movie is like that. But broadly speaking, 80s movies, the big ones, the ones that everybody remembers, either had the kind of silly, fun stuff that the last chunk of the episode has, or were these, yeah, kind of dark and yeah. I really appreciated that. That really worked. And yeah, I mean, he's away from the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents. He's very frustrated with Deke, understandably so, over the, killing, ripples, not waves, remember? And, not only did he have to kill these, duplicates, robot duplicates of his parents, but now the young version of him is an orphan, like, just, yeah. And this thing of, he just wants, he's about to go and give them this model car, and then he just can't quite bring himself to, and he goes home and he assembles a model car. I guess it wasn't that model. At first I thought it was that model car. I guess it's possible he bought another one for the end or something. Anyway, yeah. And also, we don't see how they get money to spend in the 80s, because obviously you can't use, I guess it's possible they had some over for the 70s, or maybe there's a deleted scene where Linda Hamilton says, "Yep, that's enough. I don't know where you got it." But yeah, the way that he, like, it really takes the alcoholism seriously. That is what's going on. He becomes an alcoholic for the first chunk of the episode. I mean, he's drinking constantly. He wakes up in front of the TV where he fell asleep because he got so drunk, and immediately reaches for another bottle, and then he's about to leave to buy more liquor. Yeah. He grows a sadness beard, and the little interactions with Deke, it was not easy to find you, let me tell you. Oh yeah, let's throw the ball around. And he just throws the ball out. Oh, you accidentally throw it into the front yard. It's okay, I'll get it. We can throw. Mac, I think you accidentally locked the door and barred it and built a force field around the. How did you even do that? And he comes for the New Year's, like, Happy New Year. Okay, I'm gonna leave some stuff on the porch for you. And then he comes back later, and the stuff is still there. So he didn't leave the house, presumably because he didn't run out of alcohol. And just, yeah, really, really excellent job. Fantastic performance. We've never really seen him quite this, like, defeated before. He, like I talked about, just the episode before this, in my video on the episode just before this one. He, he's very solution oriented. He sees a problem, and if he can't fix that one, he's gonna find another problem to solve, and we're gonna get through this. And now, just, yeah. And he gets so drunk he accidentally messes up the model car, and, you know, gets so frustrated he bangs his hand on the table. Like, he, you know, we're not used to seeing him like this, and fantastic. And the thing about, you know, he doesn't want Elena to see him like this, and she doesn't, because by the end, you know, he's better. And I think that, yeah, I also really love the headbands, not just one but two headbands, and the little the gauntlet. Okay, maybe the gauntlet was a bad idea right after a gig. I thought we agreed you were not going to use live explosives during training. You know, that's, yeah. Plays a little bit different after, you know, Putin invaded Ukraine. I mean, did a military... There's no war in Ba Sing Se. Am I allowed to make that reference? I haven't actually watched that show. I've just seen a lot of people make that reference who do love the show, and based on what I know about it, sounds like it fits. Yeah, not currently planning on doing that one. Like I said, there's so many that I am already doing and planning on. Anyway, yes, so the... Right, also... Is it terrible? No, it's not terrible to not hate that the guy didn't get his computer back, because man was he a jerk. Just yeah. Yeah. And the you know, the guy who works at the place was actually kind of like, "Oh wow, I remember you, and you don't remember me at all." Like, even by the end, he's not super sad about the, you know, yeah. And the guy, like, this preppy douche with the, yeah, what is that, sweater tied around, and so I'm gonna need this back pronto. Yeah, he's gonna work on it. Like, what are you even asking for? Like, you're just exerting power. You're just showing that you can get away with treating him badly because you think he's beneath you. Like, he didn't do anything. He didn't mess this thing up, you know. That was, you know, Gorillas did. I mean, the Power Surge did. And yeah, the thing with, you know, will you help me, YN. And he manages to build, and he gives her a voice, you know, after the first little robot, which reappears there at the end, grabbing the thing and giving it to Nathaniel, which is gonna be a problem. I'm glad he's back, and it is like, yeah, it's been years. He didn't die, like, his bones got messed up. Presumably something, you know, I mean, I don't know, maybe years of physical therapy, camartage, I'm not entirely sure, but, you know, I don't think that it's, I'm not serious about camartage. I don't think that it's like a problem, a continuity issue or something, a gaffe, a boo-boo. Anyway, yeah, the first little robot comes driving up, and, you know, what is my purpose? Your purpose is to hand me candy. Haven't watched that show either. Probably not going to, especially now that we heard about the, yeah. I'm glad it came out. I'm glad they're canceled. Anyway, yeah, the, right, yeah, the, you know, building the robot, giving her the voice, and the whole thing, and you know, he comes back and he's like, you know, yeah, he bought the guns that they use not long after, you know. Wow, that ammo place was something else, I tell you. There was this kid who tried to name drop someone, expecting to walk out of there with a sniper rifle. Yeah, it was something, and apparently the guy who worked there got, like, shot by someone buying guns and asking for guns that obviously the store wasn't gonna have. Yeah, let me tell you. And then he walks in, and, you know, Sybil's building another robot, and, you know, he's like, what's going on here? And I just want there to be an outtake where she just deadpans Singularity. But yeah, you know, he's like, I've waited my whole life for you, which, like, yeah, I believe him. That is, like, yeah, if I had been old enough to be that much of a nerd in the 80s, I would probably also have wanted a robot, you know, yeah. And that was also a thing. Like, I don't think that the IMDb trivia noted, like, it feels like a weird science thing. Yeah. I think that does get us nicely to, yeah, and walking up to the bartender, talking about, Deke, and she's like, yeah, you and everyone else in this bar, and the performance was a lot of fun, and that was apparently Jeff Ward actually singing, so yeah, I guess someone learned to, oh yeah, he can actually, I mean, he was pretty good. It's like, not necessarily the easiest song in the world to get right. There's some notes in there that you want to hit exactly right, or it's going to sound terrible. Not gonna lie, it looks like it would be fun to go to Deke Squad performances live, and the thing, it's not a cover band. It's the band is a cover director, and yeah, amazing. I think, right, and the thing with Cricket, yeah, if Mac hadn't hidden from Deke, maybe Deke wouldn't even have met Cricket, and they wouldn't have gotten into this whole thing. That's the thing. You gotta be careful about leaving Deke Shaw to his own devices. It's little, yeah. But I really did appreciate, yeah, he genuinely, like, he dove headfirst into trying to take care of Mac, and also giving him space. Like, at first he's like kind of pushy about it, and then when he gets kicked out, he's like, right, I'm not gonna push it. So he just shows up at the door, knocks, and says, Happy New Year, buddy. I'm gonna leave some stuff on the porch. You can come out and get it when you feel like it, and then when he shows up later and the stuff is still there, like, he doesn't even say, what about all the stuff? I bought food. It perished. No, he's just like, that was what you needed. And yeah, he genuinely thought, and it is like that. It would have been healthier. Obviously, and that's not where Mac is at the start of the episode. Would have been healthier if the two of them had, like, played ball, or just spent some time together in a more, like, yeah. But he does what a lot of people do. I've said before, there is no wrong way to grieve a Reese's. No, yeah, that came out right. Whatever I mean, obviously, don't, like, physically hurt someone or something, but, like, yeah, I mean, some people need to yell at someone and, like, try to make it someone who's willing to who's okay with, like, taking that, and then later you can apologize, that sort of thing, and don't. I'm not trying to give, like, free license but just, different people grieve in different ways. Yeah, he's, he despairs, basically. Like, he sees no hope, no future, and yeah, and Deke, of course, does the Deke thing. Yeah, taking credit for somebody else's thing, and and I do also really like immediately he calls on yeah, that song's from The Breakfast Club, which also, yeah, another great reference to make. And let's see, yeah, by the end of the episode, he's like, yeah, Mac is right. This is, I'm a fraud. This is not really me, and that is, yeah, that's something Deke really does have to work on. Maybe he'll get there by the end of this season, since it's the last season of the show. He has to just be himself and accept, limitations, and not constantly try. He's always looking for, like, a way to get, skip to the end. And yeah, let's see. I think that is it for the, but yeah, right, Cricket. I thought you said that guy was shady. Yeah, but that was until I found he had a steady job. Doing what? Selling coke. He is actually the primary supplier for this guy named Ellis. Dude loves drinking coke. I don't know. Yeah, says it helps him with the job at Nakatomi Plaza. I'm not gonna get into that whole thing, you know, like, yeah. And the thing is, like, yeah, if sometimes Deke can be such a, you know, such a sweet summer child. Like, yeah, I mean, obviously, if he thinks it's just Coca-Cola, which I have a sneaking suspicion it isn't, yeah, he'd be like, yeah, sure, like, you know, have a Coke and a smile. I don't want to. What's the big deal? You know, just, yeah. And the thing with, you know, Cricket, his expertise. Well, honestly, we just needed a drummer, and that's also a great. You know, there at the end, you know, harmonica, saxophone. Oh, of course, we got to get you some lessons though, and just yeah. Like sometimes Deke really can be such a loving, giving person. Let's see. I think that pretty well gets us to, yeah. The entire ending was so great, and the yeah, very typical slash. And I understand that's apparently from Chopping Mall. I haven't watched that one, but I have seen some clips, and yeah, seems like. And apparently, the director was it bothered him that they didn't ask for permission to do an homage, and that does suck. Um, I do think it's best to ask. I mean, they could have redone that. They could have had something else there. You know, they could have started with the lasers sooner, for example. Then it wouldn't be. From what I understand, that's not quite like Chopping Mall. Um, that one is like a non-zero number of robots with power tools, from what I understand. Um, yeah, but the you know, you even have the thing of, and that was also, I will say that felt a little out of place for something that's just an homage. Again, considering they're not doing someone who's like coded as mentally ill like Murdoch, but you know, the young woman is like, oh, I don't mind if someone peeps on us having sex. Like that's the kind of line that would be, you know, Married with Children had at least one bit like that. Someone expressing that it wouldn't bother them. A young woman expressing it wouldn't bother her. But yeah, you know, once there's like, we gotta investigate that strange noise. I'll be right back. And you know, I mean, they probably, yeah, they have had, he has had sex in the past, so they're doing the, you know, not a virgin thing. But yeah, and the typical slasher thing of completely underestimating how dangerous something is. And I will say it was clever, the thing with the robots, you know, I am lost. Can you help me? Cause like, yeah, you know, the Sybil is learning, you know, gradually she's understanding more about human beings. And yeah, this thing of like, you know, oh, they might help if they think, you know, this is just someone who's like lost and confused. And it's the kind of thing, like, if a person said that to another person, depending on the person they're saying it to, the sayer might get help from the sayee. But it's a robot, and it's like, I mean, it doesn't look not dangerous, you know, so that was, yeah. And all the blood, like, yeah, they really didn't hold back on the, like, they're pushing the TV-14 age rating. But yeah, the bit with all the blood spraying out, and you know, from off screen, that was a very effective. Yeah, I guess it probably, they would have had to. It would have been TVMA if we saw what was being cut, but because it's blood, although that wouldn't usually have, that didn't used to fly. But I appreciate them pushing. You know, I think a lot of the time censorship is just BS. Yeah, I think, you know, censorship, like, obvious. I agree with age ratings. I agree with, you know, if you're showing something to a child, it should be like PG or G rated. But you know, for teenagers and up, like, I don't think a 14-year-old is gonna be like warped from seeing a bunch of blood spray like that. You know, I mean, don't show them Videodrome. You know, in general, nothing Cronenberg, but yeah. I think that does pretty much. You know, I think, you know, censorship, I think it's good when it is keeping really hateful, bigoted ideas out of mainstream media. I'm not sure. I think pretty much anything should really express bigotry without examining it, but anyway, yes, so, and the, yeah, Mack saying the commando thing, and then they do the Whedon thing of, oh, do you mean this? Yes, I mean that. And I think that pretty well gets us right. And take this, Short Circuit. I guess maybe he wasn't the biggest fan of those movies. Haven't watched them in over 20 years, but I remember enjoying both of them. When I watched them out of order because, I think after a while, I kind of decided it has to be trolling, right? Because, you can see the release year. There was this channel that would show really fun, entertaining movies, but a lot of the time they would show them out of order. So I watched the second Short Circuit before the first. Same thing with the Christina Ricci as Wednesday Addams. I guess I can't just say Christina Ricci because I've heard... Is that her in Wednesday? I haven't watched any Wednesday. I don't have Netflix, so it's not gonna be soon. But I do like Jenna Ortega. I think she's amazing in the new Scream movies, so I might at some point. I'm not making any promises, but yeah, the Christina Ricci as Wednesday Addams, those two Addams family movies. Watch those out of order. Anyway, for some reason, when it came to Darkman, they got the order right, which I'm quite happy about. I'm not opposed to watching the sequels, though not the biggest fan of, especially the second movie. What were they doing? But the third one is fun. But I definitely recommend watching the first one first. I think, yeah, great teamwork, fun. The throwing the explosive and shooting the explosive to get it to explode, all that stuff, and using a knife against a robot. Holy crap! Was she flirting with? She said something like, "My heart belongs to you," to the other woman band member. Was she? That's cool. Sapphic representation. I guess I just wish they went further with it. And the hug with we're still family. You're still part of the band. I love you guys. Fear of laser notwithstanding, which is a very 80s fear. I will say that. Yeah. Right. I like the post credits with the robot managing to get down the stairs and the way it would cut, cut out all the time in between without cutting to a different angle. That was pretty good. Yeah. Really glad Nathaniel is still around as a villain. Really looking forward to seeing him. Yeah, the Chronicoms are just really stoked on working with the family Malik. Evidently, multiple generations. I think that might pretty much get us right. And I really like that. Yeah, the two brothers. They're at the end, using the guns similar to the Gauntlet. So, yeah, they did do stuff. And that was also, that they run the Gauntlet and they accidentally shoot one of the others. Just, yeah. Thankfully only, paintball. Yeah. I think that might cover everything. I did really, it was very, very sweet when, Elena and Mack were reunited and the big hug. Maybe they're gonna get back together. I know he's like, well, I'm director, and it's nobody's breaking any bylaws here.